Everyone in New York called him the Ice King. Ethan Kane, 32, billionaire heir, CEO of the Kane Empire, the man who owned half of Manhattan's skyline. To the world, he was power in a tailored suit, precise, controlled, untouchable. But even ice can melt when fire comes close enough. That fire was a woman named Aria Rivera. She wasn't born into privilege. She didn't wear designer shoes. She worked as a maid in the Kane penthouse, 40 floors above the city that never slept. Every morning, she would walk into a world that didn't belong to her. Marble floors, gold fixtures, silent halls echoing with secrets. She moved quietly. She knew her place, or at least she thought she did. One rainy morning in October, everything changed. She had been scrubbing the edge of the grand piano when he walked in. Dark suit, no tie, sleeves rolled, eyes cold as winter. He wasn't supposed to be home, not that early. Her hand froze mid-motion. Their eyes met. Ethan's voice, deep, calm, commanding, cut through the silence. "Who told you to clean this room?" She stammered, "Mr. Adams, sir. The head butler said—" "I don't like people touching my piano," he said. Then paused. His gaze softened just slightly. "What's your name?" She swallowed hard. "Aria Rivera." He nodded once, then turned away. That was it, a brief encounter, but something shifted, something that neither of them could explain. Later that evening, as Aria walked home through the rain, her phone buzzed with a message from her landlord. "You have until Friday to pay the rent or you're out." She sighed. Her life was always a countdown. Bills, deadlines, survival. And yet, she couldn't stop thinking about the billionaire who had looked at her like she was more than invisible dust in his perfect world. Days passed. Weeks blurred. Then one night, she was called upstairs again, to his private office. No one went there. Not the staff, not even his personal assistant. She hesitated at the door, knocked. "Come in," he said. The room smelled of expensive whiskey and rain. He didn't look up, just kept typing on his laptop. "Aria, right?" "Yes, sir." "I need someone I can trust." He finally looked at her. "You clean this house every day. You see everything. You don't talk much. That's good. I like quiet people." "I don't understand." "He needs a favor," he said. His tone shifted, less like a boss, more like a man running out of time. "I'll pay you, a lot, but this stays between us." Silence filled the air. Aria could hear her heart pounding. He stood up, walked to the window overlooking the glittering skyline. "My father's lawyers are pressuring me. There's an inheritance clause. I have to be married before the end of the fiscal year." Her breath caught. "I don't see how I need a wife," he said flatly. "For the papers, for the board, just until the deal is complete." Aria stared at him, confused. This is crazy." "I'll pay you $10 million, he said. Her mouth dried. "I know how it sounds, but I've already rejected every socialite in my circle. I need someone with no ties, no motives, someone who won't fall in love." His eyes met hers again. "Someone like you." The room spun. Her entire life, rent, debt, fear, flashed before her. "Why me?" she whispered. He smiled faintly. "Because you're the only one here who looks at me like I'm human." Silence. Heavy, electric, dangerous. She wanted to laugh, to say no, to run. But $10 million? That was freedom. That was her mother's surgery. That was everything. She finally said, "What's the catch?" His smile disappeared. "You'll sign a contract. You'll move in as my wife, publicly, but privately." He paused. "You'll still be my maid." The words cut like a blade. Her pride screamed no. Her reality whispered yes. That night, she didn't sleep. She thought about every unpaid bill, every dream she'd buried. And by morning, she made her decision. When she arrived at the penthouse the next day, Ethan was waiting. He handed her a folder, a contract. No emotion, no hesitation. She signed. With one stroke of a pen, her life changed forever. Within a week, the media exploded. Billionaire Ethan Kane marries in secret. Who is Aria Rivera? From Maid to millionaire bride, the Cinderella of Manhattan. Flashes, headlines, lies. Their wedding wasn't romantic. No guests, no vows, no love. Just ink, cameras, and tension so thick you could taste it. When they returned home, Ethan said quietly, "You did well," then walked away. That night, Aria stood by the window in a silk gown that wasn't hers, staring at the city lights. She was now Mrs. Kane, but inside, she still felt like the help. Days became weeks. Paparazzi hunted them. She learned to fake smiles, to wear diamonds, to sit beside a man who never touched her in public. But behind closed doors, something began to change. He'd ask her how her day was. She'd catch him watching her, as if searching for something he'd lost long ago. Sometimes their hands would brush accidentally, a spark, a heartbeat, and sometimes he'd almost smile. One evening, after a charity gala, they returned to the penthouse. Aria kicked off her heels, laughing softly, the champagne still warm in her veins. "I think your board of directors like me now," she teased. Ethan looked at her, that rare look that stripped away the armor. "For someone who was never supposed to fit in, you're doing a remarkable job," he said. Their eyes lingered. Too long, too close. Something inside them shifted again. Unspoken, dangerous, real. But before either of them could speak, the doorbell rang. Ethan's expression darkened instantly. "Stay here," he said. He opened the door and froze. Standing there was a woman in a red coat, tall, elegant, smiling like she knew every secret he'd ever kept. "Hello, Ethan," she purred. "It's been a while." Aria stepped closer, her curiosity getting the better of her. Ethan's jaw tightened. His voice was cold. "Who are you here for?" She tilted her head. "You didn't tell me you got married." Her gaze shifted and landed on Aria. The smile widened. "Oh, this is going to be interesting."
The silence after that knock was deafening. Aria stood frozen, her heart pounding in her chest. Who was this woman, and why did Ethan's entire face change when he saw her? Vivian stepped inside like she owned the place. Her perfume filled the air, expensive, sharp, unforgettable. She turned to Aria with a half smile. "So, you're the new Mrs. Kane." Aria forced a polite nod. Yes, I am. Vivian's laugh was soft, but cruel. How adorable. Then to Ethan, does your father know, or is this another one of your cover stories? Ethan's voice was low, controlled. You should leave. Relax, Vivian said, taking off her gloves slowly. I just wanted to see it with my own eyes. Ethan Kane, married to his maid. Aria's stomach dropped. Her maid? How did this stranger know? Ethan took a step forward, his tone icy. You don't know what you're talking about. Vivian smiled. Oh, I know exactly what I'm talking about, remember? You and I were supposed to get married, until your father decided I wasn't good enough for the Kane legacy. She turned to Aria again. Seems like your father would have hated her even more. Ethan's eyes flashed. Enough, Vivian. Aria felt the world tilt. Married? To this woman? What was this man hiding? Vivian smirked, heading toward the door. Well, congratulations, darling. I hope you enjoy playing house, because when the truth comes out, and it will, no amount of money will save her. And just like that, she was gone. Ethan stood silent for a moment, staring at the floor. Aria finally spoke, her voice trembling. What did she mean? You were supposed to marry her. He didn't look up. It was a long time ago. She knew about me being your maid. He sighed. She was bluffing. Aria folded her arms. You didn't deny it. He turned to her, frustration flickering behind his calm mask. You signed a contract, Aria. You agreed to play your role. Don't ask questions you don't want answers to. Her throat tightened. Right. Just the maid who pretends to be your wife. She walked past him, her heels echoing across the marble. That night she cried silently in the guest room. She told herself it didn't matter. It wasn't real. But her heart, it didn't listen. Days passed with cold silence. No breakfast together, no conversation, just headlines and distance. Then one evening, Ethan came home late, shirt rumpled, eyes tired. He stopped outside her door, knocked once. Aria, can we talk? She hesitated. About what? The lies? The secrets? Or how you treat me like a stranger? He exhaled. You're right. You didn't sign up for this. He stepped closer. When I met you, I thought I was in control. But I'm not. I haven't been for a long time. Her chest tightened. Why me, Ethan? Why not one of those women who already live in your world? He looked down. Because they all wanted my name. You're the only one who never did. Silence again. But this time, it wasn't cold. It was fragile. Real. He took a step back, his voice quieter. Vivian and I were engaged 5 years ago. My father arranged it. It wasn't love. It was business. His jaw clenched. When I broke it off, she promised to destroy everything I built. And she's trying. Aria's anger faded, replaced by something she didn't want to name. You could have told me. I didn't want to drag you into it. He paused. But maybe it's too late. Their eyes met again. A storm of words unspoken. A pause long enough for two hearts to forget the rules. Then, the world intruded again. A loud knock. Ethan turned sharply. Stay here. He opened the door to find a man in a gray suit, his father's lawyer. Mr. Kane, the board wants proof of your marriage. They're demanding a public appearance, together, at the annual gala this Friday. Ethan's eyes darkened. Understood. When the door shut, Aria asked, What happens if they find out the truth? He looked at her for a long moment. Then I lose everything. He paused. "And you lose me." The words hung in the air like smoke. That night, Aria couldn't sleep again. For the first time, she wasn't thinking about money. She was thinking about him. Friday came faster than either expected. The Kane annual gala, the biggest night of the year. 1,000 cameras, 1,000 eyes, and one lie big enough to ruin them both. Aria wore a gown that shimmered like moonlight, silver silk, open back, diamonds at her ears. Ethan couldn't take his eyes off her. "You look," he started, then stopped. She smiled faintly. "Like your wife?" He almost smiled back. "Exactly." They arrived arm in arm, flashbulbs exploding like lightning. "Mr. Kane, Mrs. Kane, over here. Is it true your marriage was a secret ceremony? Are you expecting?" Aria kept smiling, the perfect actress, but beneath that calm face, her heart was chaosed. Inside the ballroom, the orchestra played soft jazz. Ethan introduced her to investors, partners, people who lived in glass towers and billion-dollar dreams. And all night, he never left her side. But as she turned to take a glass of champagne, a familiar voice whispered behind her, "Well, well, Cinderella learned how to sparkle." "Vivian." Aria turned. "What do you want?" Vivian's smile didn't reach her eyes. "I want to see how long you can keep pretending." She leaned closer. "You really think Ethan married you for love? You're just a pawn, a temporary illusion until he takes control of his father's empire." Her breath caught. "You're lying." "Am I?" whispered Vivian. "Ask him about the hidden clause, the one that says if his wife ever leaves him before the merger, he loses everything." Her words burned like acid. Before Aria could respond, Vivian was gone, fading into the crowd like smoke. The music felt louder now, fake smiles, empty laughter, everything suddenly blurred. She found Ethan near the bar, talking to an investor. Her voice shook. What clause was she talking about? He froze. "Aria, not here." "So it's true? You married me to protect your empire?" "It's not that simple." "Then make it simple." People turned to look. Ethan's mask cracked, pain flickering through his eyes. "Aria, Vivian is manipulating you. She wants to ruin me, and she's using you to do it." Aria took a step back. "Maybe she doesn't have to try that hard. Because maybe you already did." Her voice broke. She dropped her glass. It shattered, echoing through the hall. Then she walked out. Rain poured outside. Flashes from the paparazzi cameras followed her as she ran into the street, barefoot, mascara streaking down her cheeks. Back inside, Ethan watched her go, torn between chasing her or protecting the empire his father built. He whispered under his breath, "I didn't mean for this to happen." Hours later, she stood in her small apartment, the same one she'd left months ago. Empty, cold, real. She picked up the photo of her late mother. "I thought I could handle it, Mama. I thought I could keep my heart out of it." Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She hesitated, then answered. A deep voice said, "Mrs. Kane, we need to talk. It's about your husband." She froze. "Who is this?" The voice replied, "Someone who knows what really happened to his last fiancé." The line went dead. Aria's pulse raced. Last fiancé? Vivian wasn't his only secret. She turned toward the window, New York glittering in the distance, like a lie wrapped in gold. And for the first time, she realized she might be in danger.
The call replayed in Aria's head all night. Someone who knows what really happened to his last fiancé. The words wouldn't stop echoing. She didn't sleep, she didn't eat. By morning, fear had become a shadow that followed her everywhere. She paced the floor, phone in hand, waiting for it to ring again.
It didn't. Outside, the city was waking up, but Aria's world was falling apart. She thought of Ethan's face, the way his eyes softened when he looked at her, the way he'd whispered her name like it meant something. Could all of that have been a lie? She needed answers. By noon, she was back in front of the Kane Enterprises building, the glass tower that seemed to touch the clouds. Reporters shouted as she walked in. "Mrs. Kane, where have you been? Are you and your husband separating? Is it true you're filing for divorce?" She kept her head down. Inside, she told the receptionist, "Tell Mr. Kane I need to see him now." Moments later, the elevator doors opened. Ethan was standing there. Dark suit, tired eyes, no smile. "Aria," his voice cracked just a little. "You shouldn't have come here. I got a call." He froze. "What call?" "Someone said they know what happened to your last fiancée." Her tone hardened. "Ethan, who was she?" He looked away. "She's dead." The words hit her like ice. "What?" she whispered. "Her name was Cassandra. She was my first engagement, before Vivian, before all of this. It was arranged. My father wanted a merger between families. But she..." He paused. "She died in an accident, or at least, that's what they said." Aria frowned. "What do you mean they said?" Ethan looked at her, his eyes full of secrets. "I never believed it was an accident. She was found in her car, off a bridge, but her brakes had been tampered with." She stared at him in shock. "Who would do that?" He exhaled. "I don't know, but ever since then, people around me have disappeared. Partners, lawyers, even one of my security guards." He stepped closer. "Aria, whoever called you, they're not trying to protect you. They're trying to finish what they started." Her pulse quickened. "You think someone's after me?" He nodded. "Because you're my wife now. You're the perfect way to get to me." Before she could respond, the lights flickered. Then, blackout. The elevator stopped between floors. Emergency lights glowed red. Aria's breath came fast. "Aria, what's happening?" He reached for her hand. "Stay calm." A voice came through the emergency intercom. Cold, male. "You should have stayed away, Mrs. Kane." Aria gasped. Ethan grabbed the panel, shouting, "Who is this?" The voice laughed softly. "Ha! Let's just say, I know what you did to Cassandra, and soon the world will too." Then silence. The elevator jolted. Sparks flew. Ethan pulled Aria into his arms just as the system kicked back online and the doors opened halfway onto a maintenance floor. "Come on," he said, helping her crawl out. They ran through the dim corridor, alarms blaring in the distance. When they finally reached his office, Ethan slammed the door shut. "Someone hacked the system," he muttered, pulling up his laptop. Lines of code flickered across the screen. A message appeared. "The truth always rises, Mr. Kane. Midnight, Pier 47. Come alone." Aria's voice trembled. "It's a trap." He nodded. "But I have no choice." She grabbed his arm. "Ethan, don't go." He looked at her, eyes softer now. "Aria, you deserve the truth. All of it." He brushed a strand of hair from her face. "If I don't make it back, don't say that. Remember that I never meant to hurt you." He held her gaze for a long, fragile moment, then walked out. That night, the rain returned. Pier 47, silent, abandoned, waves crashing against rusted metal. Ethan's car pulled up under the flicker of a broken streetlight. He stepped out, coat fluttering in the wind. "Show yourself!" he shouted. A figure emerged from the shadows. Vivian.
I told you, secrets always find a way out. Ethan's jaw tightened. You called Aria. Of course I did. She deserves to know the man she married. He took a step closer. You had Cassandra killed, didn't you? Vivian smiled, slow and sinister. You still think so small. Cassandra was weak. She wanted to leave. Your father wouldn't allow it, so he made it look like an accident. Ethan's eyes widened. My father? She nodded. He built an empire on manipulation, and you're just another pawn. He shook his head in disbelief. You're lying. Vivian took out a small flash drive and dangled it. Proof. Every transfer, every call. His orders. You were supposed to die in that crash, not her. His voice broke. Why tell me this now? Vivian stepped closer, her tone dripping with venom. Because now, I'm finishing what he started. From behind her coat, a gun. Ethan froze. But before she could pull the trigger, a voice shouted from behind, Vivian! Aria. She'd followed him. Vivian turned, furious. You should have stayed gone. Aria's voice was shaking but firm. You already destroyed enough lives. Vivian sneered. You think you know him? You don't know the monster you married. I know what I see, Aria said, and I see a man trying to fix what he didn't break. Her hand trembled. Then she fired. The shot echoed across the pier. Ethan shoved Aria aside, the bullet grazing his shoulder. He fell, blood seeping through his shirt. Aria screamed. Vivian aimed again, but Aria grabbed a metal rod from the ground and swung. The gun fell into the water. Vivian stumbled, furious, then ran into the dark. Sirens wailed in the distance. Aria knelt beside Ethan, sobbing. Stay with me, please. He tried to smile. You shouldn't have come. I wasn't going to lose you, she whispered. As the rain poured, she pressed her forehead to his. For the first time, he let her see him broken, human, real. 2 weeks later, sunlight poured through the hospital window. Ethan sat up, bandaged, silent. Aria walked in, holding 2 coffees. He looked at her, a faint smile touching his lips. Mrs. Kane. Mr. Kane, she replied softly. For a moment, they just looked at each other. No lies, no contracts, no pretense. He reached for her hand. You saved my life. She smiled sadly. You saved mine first. He exhaled. My father was arrested yesterday. The flash drive. It had everything. Everything Cassandra died for. Aria's heart ached. I'm sorry. He shook his head. Don't be. I'm finally free. Silence again. Soft, healing. Then he said quietly, about our marriage, it started as a deal, but somewhere along the way, it became the only thing in my life that felt real. Her eyes glistened. I told myself I wouldn't fall for you. He smiled faintly. Then maybe we both failed. They both laughed, a small, fragile sound in a world that had been nothing but storms. Months passed. The headlines changed. Ethan Kane steps down as CEO, pursues philanthropy. Aria Kane opens foundation for underprivileged women. They moved into a smaller house outside the city. Quiet, green, honest. No marble, no cameras. Just peace. One evening, Aria stood on the porch watching the sunset. Ethan joined her, slipping his arm around her waist. She whispered, Do you ever miss it? The power? The money? He smiled. I used to think that was life, but then I met the maid who became my secret wife. She laughed softly. You're still bad at romantic lines. He kissed her forehead. Maybe, but I'm getting better. They stood there in silence.
He built his empire on numbers and deals. But when he almost lost Clara, he realized something money could never buy. Peace. He learned that a mansion filled with secrets will always feel empty. That silence in a penthouse can be louder than 1,000 boardroom voices, and that love requires truth, not contracts. Clara, on the other hand, learned something different. She learned that kindness is strength, that dignity isn't about position, it's about peace of mind. She learned that no matter how broken your story seems, you can rise. Even from the dust of betrayal, even from being called just a maid. Because true worth doesn't wear a uniform, it shines from within. When they finally rebuilt their lives, it wasn't perfect, but it was honest. They learned to communicate, to forgive, to start over, not as Billionaire and Maid, but as two imperfect souls trying again. And perhaps that's the real lesson. Love isn't about the grand gestures. It's about small moments of truth. It's about choosing each other, even when the world is watching. It's about fighting for peace over pride, and learning that real power is found in vulnerability. So, if you're listening to this, and you've ever felt invisible, unworthy, or unloved, remember Clara's story. Remember Liam's regret. Remember that love built on lies will collapse, but love built on truth, even if fragile, will stand. Because in the end, the maid became more than his secret wife. She became his redemption, his reason, his peace. And maybe that's what we're all searching for. Not perfection, just peace, just truth, just love, the kind that money can't buy.
If you enjoyed this story, subscribe to Golden Billionaire's Stories, where every tale drips with luxury, power, and passion. Because here, love always comes with a price.